Greetings, good gentry. My name is Denim Nightmare, and welcome back to Tiny Bunny. Today we will be continuing this first episode, so let's hop on in. Ooh. Okay. My parents prohibit me from making long-distance calls, but from time to time I really want to hear my old friends. Sometimes I would just pick up the phone, listen to the low hum of the zoomer and the distant crackling, imagine the wind howling and the ice sleeting chords. This cross has seen so many people come and go in this house. It was black as if it absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging under the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe in its place as a lucky charm. But she cut herself with the cross's sharp corner and almost fell from the stepladder. Dad called it a sign from above and ordered the cross to be left alone in its rightful place. Oh. Mom's gonna kick my ass if I go to the front. So let's explore the house. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on a freshly sharpened axe. And Olia can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Bobby is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see there's nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olia count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Ooh. I don't think it'll let me go to the front door. Anton, I'll whip you if you make a single step out the door. Yep, figured. Alright. Is there any other thing to look at? This. Alright. Mom's peg top. A family relic. My mom played with it when she was little. Then she gifted it to me. Olia was next in the succession line. The toy belonged to her now. She stared at the dancing spindle as if it could show her something. A fairy tale, or maybe even her future. Now even my little sister was too old for the old squeaky peg top. Alright, to the kitchen. Is there anything to look at in here? Okay, 3 things. The decrepit and stain-covered calendar. Decrepit and stain-covered calendar was once my favorite form of entertainment in Grandma's house. I remember waking up and running to the kitchen so I could tear off yesterday's leaf first thing in the morning, as if the coming day would get lost in the taiga forest without my help. One day closer to New Year's. One day closer to Grandma's funeral. I haven't touched this calendar for years now. Since the time they started writing dark and spooky death chants, they only made me gloomy instead of funny proverbs and superstitions, to be exact. I grabbed the dusty calendar leaf with caution and tore it off effortlessly. Sadly, the spooky descriptions from my childhood were still there. 7 horses carry the log, if 7 can't carry, bring the 8th from the fairy. They will take it away and never come back. This is the fate the log cannot escape. I crumpled the gray leaf and threw it into the waste bin, hoping to get rid of the anxiousness that washed over me. It was spreading inside me like an ink stain on blotting paper. The Macomb of Russia has decided the state of emergency due to adverse weather conditions. According to the weather forecast, a cyclone is moving toward the region. Expect heavy snowfall, blizzards, and snowdrifts on the road. Keep your eyes open and take care of yourself. And there's one more. The side of the old ocean freezer was checkered with my childish drawings, Mom's recipes, and all kinds of stickers from bubblegum with dinosaurs that Oli liked so much. Among that still life picture hung a piece of ruled paper with the phone number of the police officer who visited. First Lieutenant Tikhonov. I read inside my mind, looking at the officer's sprawling handwriting. A scrap of paper was held by 2 pieces of broken magnet from some old Soviet toy, and those pieces just barely covered the numbers as if to taunt me. I leaned toward it to unveil the mystery and take a piece to a safer place where it would wait for its time when I would finally find Vova and be the first to call the police with the happy news. Anton. My mom's reproachful eyes stared at me. What do you need that for? Hands off, you'll lose it. Angry my mom was the last thing I wanted, so I lowered my hand. Grandma kept ice for me and Olga there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup. Oh, Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olga there, but now I could see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. There's literally nothing for me to do. I need to distract Mom somehow, or I'll get scolded, my ass whipped with Dad's leather belt. Olga's toy. Anton, get your ass out of the closet immediately. I took a peek at Mom's crossword. She would get angry when someone gave her advice, so me and Dad faked knowing the answers and being about to reveal it all the time. I smiled at the fleeting thought. Vertical, 9 letters. The name of the Philistine deity that protected them from viper bites and had a nickname. The Lord of Flies. Second letter is E. Well, oh, come on. What do I do? It was difficult to lie to Mom. There was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Oh, you're killing me here. So have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope would go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please go see for yourself. Please go see for yourself. Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olia's room. Hey. I opened the front gates and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered then my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash. but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent, so silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olivia. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's tiny stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olivia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olivia present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if the fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes, who sometimes visited in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me, the white field and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes, rotten leaves and coniferous needles frozen into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a kittle knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help him find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was unbent naturally toward the ground. Its blackness. There's no one there. Just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all? Or maybe it wasn't my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. I don't like this. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint, but nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Nah, run away. Lumps of snow fell from the branch that reminded me of the sound soil makes when you throw it into a pit on top of a casket. I immediately felt dizzy, as if I was balancing at a precipice. I slowly backed away from my finding. I felt like the moment I touched it, a trap would spring, and the mouse would get caught. Someone stepped out from the ice behind me, close by. My inner voice whispered, "Save yourself. Run." My nerves got the better of me. I ran, burying my head in my shoulders. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot. A wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried-up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry. Run. Don't look back. I felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from a mushy trap just to be caught in a new one even deeper than before. I continued to drown, seeking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow even ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Something or someone in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my legs was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached the clear path with one jump, and from there, ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadow that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks. As if a dog was striking the wood with his paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. My heartbeat in my ears was so much louder than my surroundings I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard? And Mom had locked the door. Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and I obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock, and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. The smell of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly did you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. And with the last bits of strength I had left in my body, too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition. My wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and stiffed my clothes like a bee, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again, and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I'd heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. My mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winters patterned on the glass. Dogs. Just a pack of strays, with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, you were scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, and done. They were chasing me, like a bunny. And what if they were? And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from my mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olia? Mom, I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look! They're alive! Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come on, my boy, who cried wolf. Oh, just don't stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill, reminiscent of the dead wasp, fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you'll have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication. Drinking it down was similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters. And Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See? You can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom, I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure what she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaves a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had the different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olia was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed to my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs, before Niago's voice died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and slipped into my own. This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed, and only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, my room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor. just like a shroud. Olya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Olya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains as if there was a thick layer of darkness there. Not a human being. I reached toward the curtains. But beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the fields with the chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light-woven child. Why did the police come? Did you do something? No, of course not. It's because of the owl, isn't it? I showed her a worried smile and rubbed her head. A boy got lost in the woods. Oh, he must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house showing this photo to everybody. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to the houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. They've already scouted the forest. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find the boy myself. A lot of stuff like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She asked me in a hushed voice while piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense. An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... How should I put it? It's cursed, or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, more like in that spooky tape our parents hide from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom won't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in a tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died from boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children, so we could go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, we could place them into little boxes. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue went over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone. It's so boring alone, and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart by this point. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Maybe a little bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olya. Then draw me a dino. Olya, please. Draw it. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out without thinking. And then I was immediately taken back. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops? Well, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. All right, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere. The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. A piggy bank. Olya is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that taking care of him will take a lot of money. Is it here? Olya's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olya doesn't sleep without it, and she digs her nose into its fur when she sleeps. The scary window where Olya sees that accursed owl every night, lurking in the dark. Olya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as twilight comes, she shuts them tight, so she won't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. Okay. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button in the front panel. The tube warmed up, and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared from me. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split, the screen in half. Something creepily resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did I catch some rogue signal? Local TV stations only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. We'll be a good brother and search. I shifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to the shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. Cheater. Never mind. The tape inside, it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. The rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images rolled in my head, me and Olya flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I notice that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us in Olya. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow to the dresser. Olya was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in the Neverland. And a cat. And a parrot. Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all of your baby teeth? Obviously. Olya frowned deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. Hey, what Mom said to her before. Ooh. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya got worried and touched her ears. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook. As if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagine myself there, in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sounds of broken plates at night. I felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back into reality. Tony, shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside, toward the treetops, toward the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Pony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. And Dad, too, thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up. Just like Mom and Dad said. It'll get tired of waiting and fly away. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from the crocodile, and Peter Pan was headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my sister. Olya's eyelids had drooped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olya's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You won't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Ooh, alright. Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Awesome. Alright, so, again, Tiny Bunny, this game, is going to be a part of an episodic, and, the first episode, as of right now, is free on Steam. I do believe there, are multiple endings to this, so come download it yourself and come check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.